What's the haps? I'm John, aka Meroka, and welcome to Spiel. We're in Onyx Falcon Tier 3 on Elite, which is a shock stratum, this particular floor being jellies, so I'm equipped for jellies. So I also have 3 weapons because of weekend events. That was obviously Spiral Lights. I shall get into that one in uno momento. But I suppose first let's do Spiral Knights news. Yeah! So in the Spiral Knights news this week, once I've cleared this Quicksilver, I don't want him shocking my face whilst I do news. In the news, we're going to open up the Supply Depot, because we got a promo. We got a promo. When do we not have a promo these days? Promos are frequent and often at the moment. So a Raging Storm, there are Rage prize boxes, which is very similar to the promo they had last summer, insofar as it is, again, recolorings, but this time with a metallic tint. Last year we got the Stormy prize boxes, which gave you a golden tint. These give you this lovely metallic red that you see there. So there's a few kind of new items. You got that weird one with sort of the ribbon trailing behind you, which is kind of fairly unique. And there's a few kind of unique helmets in amongst there, but a lot of it's just kind of the metallic red recolor of existing things. And to get them, you will open a Rage prize box. The Rage prize boxes are $4.95, or you can get a discount if you buy them in bundles. As so, you can also acquire, you can sort of see it on the left-hand knight in this picture, you can also acquire books. There are books to be worn. They are, I think, a front accessory for your knight, to attach to the front of your jacket, which is, that's actually kind of nice, because I, for a while, have felt that the front accessories are sort of lacking. There's kind of, what have you got? You've got crests, nobody wears crests. Bomb bandoliers are personal preference, I guess. They're not to my tastes. I haven't seen many people wear a bomb bandolier. And then you have the canteen, of which I am wearing one. Which I genuinely think the canteen I wear is literally because when accessories came out, I went, I want an accessory! Accessories are a new thing, give me an accessory! And I just grabbed the cheapest one I could find on the auction house that didn't look awful, and I was like, yep, canteen, that's it, that's what I'm going to wear. It's cool, therefore it doesn't actually particularly match my gear, so I now have a cool canteen strapped to my front, and I have done since they introduced accessories. So that's the thing. And the barrel belly is obviously the other one. Which of these do I want? I wish to have a blue, give me a blue. Oh wait, red. Yeah, I'll use the red more than I'll use the blue. Give me the red. That's fine. So that's that is the story of my canteen. Now you know. So other things in Spiral Knights news. Not much in the game particularly. Gunner update maybe this week. Been saying that. How many months have I been saying that? I will continue to say that on a weekly basis. Yeah. Ouch, that was silly. There was obviously Spiral Lights, the charity fundraiser hosted by the Arsenal podcast this weekend, of which I was fairly involved, so that was a thing. If you did not check that out, I think you should be able to go and watch the entire thing again on Twitch. Twitch, I think, keeps videos for a week, so you can go and watch that for the next week. I think if Latterson actually, I think you can save it indefinitely if you choose to do so, but by the default setting is for a week, so if Latterson has kept it, gone into settings and said, please save this video permanently, yeah, you should be able to go watch that at your leisure. But otherwise, it will be kept around on Twitch for the next week if you just want to watch the entirety of it uncut and as it was live. If you just want select highlights, you should probably go over to Latterson's channel, which that one always eludes me because I can never remember whether his channel is YouTube/Arsenal Podcast or YouTube/Sklay Elite, and I would have to go check on that one. I can't remember. I'll find out what it was and put a link in the description below. Why don't we do that? That's a good way to do that. So highlights from Spiral Lights will be going up there. The donation link, well, that doesn't actually expire, so if you still wish to give to Charity Water in order to raise money through the power of gaming and whatnot, that's still there. I think, I wouldn't quote me on it, I'm not sure what the closing date is on it. I think you can still be eligible to be entered into the prize drawing for things like the Prime Bombhead mask. There are things like those being raffled off to people who have donated, but I would advise going and checking the Spiral Lights page for full details on that, because I'm not quite sure when the drawing is or potentially was. I think it's this Sunday as part of the Arsenal podcast, but I'm not entirely certain on that one, so do not quote me. I am not to be quoted. But at any rate, that was fun. That was great. Good times were had by all. And we recorded, if you were there, you will know. If you heard about it, you may know. If you did not know, we recorded 2 more seasons of Spiral Knights Shopping List, everyone's favourite competitive, cooperative Spiral Knights game. That was fun. That was interesting. We had 4-man teams for the first time ever, and we also had guests. The people who had donated got to participate as guests, and not everyone had a microphone, which made things logistically interesting. It was an interesting new challenge on things. I've gotten quite accustomed to being able to tell people, by the way, we're doing this, so having to chat to people in-game chat a little more heavily was an interesting new take on the formula, certainly. So, that was a thing. So, I'm no solid dates as of yet as to when those are going to be going live, but obviously, Latterson's perspective is presumably still available to view on Twitch, so you can see Seasons 3 and 4. Was that another Chromalisk? I think it was another Chromalisk. I've seen a few of them now. They keep popping up quite frequently. Latterson's perspective will presumably be available to watch on Twitch. Mine obviously isn't, so if you want to see my perspective, you'll have to wait till the episodes go out on YouTube, and as of yet, I don't know exactly when we're going to be putting them up. I'd imagine it'll be within the next couple of weeks. But once again, nothing confirmed, do not quote me. I am not a quotable person. Nothing I can say can be quoted against me. That's a thing. Sure. So, what else? News in my world is, I did mention this in one of my Minecraft episodes. What am I doing? Paladin. Give me that. I'd mentioned this in one of my Paladin episodes, yes. One of my Minecraft episodes. That I have upgraded my keyboard slightly. I spent a while dismantling and remantling it, because I bought some rubber doodads that go into the keys, which, as you know, last Christmas I got myself a fancy schmancy mechanical keyboard, and I am quite certain many of you have been ruining it ever since, because it just makes my keyboard obnoxiously loud and my microphone picks it all up. So you can constantly hear my my keyboard super loud on my microphone. So I've got some rubber doodads, which I probably don't entirely mute it, but somewhat mute it. So my keyboard should be less horrifyingly obnoxious from now on. I think literally the only way to make it completely silent would be for me to use a really awful keyboard that I don't like, and I'm not prepared to do that, so I think this is as good as my keyboard is ever going to get at this stage. So that's a thing. There will be popping up some point in the video. Has it? How long have I been recording? Yes, it should have popped up about 3 minutes ago, I guess, because I'm going to probably insert these at about the 5-minute mark. I have acquired and have started learning some Adobe After Effects, because that lets you do fancy things with video, and whilst the stuff I have been doing has not been exceptionally fancy, it's been more fancy than the stuff I've currently done, so expect perhaps more interesting titles and overlays and things appearing on my channel in the future. Certainly the one I've done at the minute is just one of those, you've probably seen similar on a bajillion other channels. A little prompt that just pops up in the middle of the video that says, by the way guys, please remember to leave a like, because, well, quite frankly, statistics show that works. If you ask people to leave a like, they tend to do that. If you don't, they don't. And obviously those are fantastic metrics for helping you with the old YouTube rankings. If lots of people like your videos get rated highly, and and everybody gets to see your content, and it's the world is wonderful. And if you don't, you don't. That's the way of the world. So a little prompt. I hope you will forgive the intrusion into your daily video content, but it's going to be a thing now. I'm going to be telling you to like my videos, which you should be doing anyway, because that helps me out a bunch, and I totally appreciate it. I love people who like my videos, both, you know, in the literal sense of clicking the button to say that they do, and just people who like it generally because, you know, they like it in the standard sense of the word like. I'm semantics, yes. So those are things. What else is new in the news this week? I don't think there's anything much happening in the world of gaming this week, is there? There's not a terrible lot interesting happening. Oh yeah, there is this minor trade show thing that some people have been talking about. This E3, I think. I don't think there's anything particularly interesting going on there. I jest, of course. It is the biggest video gaming trade show in the industry, and ain't nobody shutting up about that. So that's all you can hear about this week. And I'm gonna be honest, it does not interest me. I have looked at the news, and I'm honestly failing to find anything that looks interesting at all anywhere in the industry. It's a lot of more of the same. There's obviously the usual annual sequels in all the things that surprises nobody. There's we got another Assassin's Creed, and it's apparently 4-player co-op, which is super innovative, but has now annoyed everybody by having all the, you've got 4 main protagonists, and every single one of them is just your standard gruff, surly white male. It's like, really? You couldn't have bothered to put a tiny bit of diversity? You had 4 characters to work with, and every single one of them is generic, bland, faceless stereotype that ever has been in every game since forever. Really? Really? Ubisoft? You lazy Ubisoft. You're really terrible. Their argument is that it costs too much resources and things to animation to add a female character. You got to obviously do a different motion capture if you do a female one. And it's like, but you've done female characters before. That's a really weak excuse to just exclude female characters entirely from your game. It's ridiculous, is what it is. So, no, you must die before you get upgraded. Die. Oh, he got upgraded. Crud. Oh. Get shot. There we go. So E3 has not terribly interested me, and I did put out a snarky tweet last night, which was one of those should I have tweeted that moments, well, the Button Mash accounts, if you're not aware, are not actually run by me. That's not to say they're not affiliated with me, because it is still my organisation. The Button Mash UK Twitter account and the Button Mash Facebook page, they are the same Button Mash, but they are not run by me. They are run by one of my colleagues, and he is a little more of, I suppose, what your marketing types would call a core gamer, rather than some indie snob, as he would put it. So he's been posting a lot of content on our stuff about E3, which is great, because obviously it engages the standard general gaming public who are interested in such things, but it does mean I get notifications all day long about games that I don't give a toss about. It's like, oh look, we're selling Halo 4 again, in spite of the fact that we just launched it last year, and Halo 1 again, in spite of the fact that we remastered it 2 years ago, and it's the kind of thing that I'm just like, really, this is like absolute non-news and not in slightly interesting, and it's the lack of innovation is mind-boggling. It literally boggles my mind, and it's I put out a snarky tweet about how I'm disgusted at how much E3 content my channel's been putting out when there's so many more innovative things that we could be talking about. And he was like, oh, well, we're not all indie snobs. Like, you can post whatever you want to the Facebook page. It's like, that's not the point. It's I understand everybody else cares about these things. It's just me. It's just I am the one who doesn't care about these things. I recognize this, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. Okay, I'm just saying I dislike seeing this content. I subscribe to a lot of indie developers and a lot of people. There's a fantastic alternative thing going on, which is indicative of the indie scene. There's IndiE3 going on at the minute, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a big showcase of a lot of games that are in the indie scene, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on there. I've been watching it the last couple of nights. It's I'm gonna have a lot of links to put in the description, but hitbox.tv/IndiE3 and IndiE4 are the channels they're using. They are literally just live streaming it every evening, I think, this week. And they're just showing up lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of really awesome stuff. And it looks awesome, and it's like, this is interesting to me, these are great, and they've got panelists talking about interesting things within the industry, and then just spending an hour just showing off indie trailers and talking about what they think about the games. That kind of thing looks really great. I mean, let's tie this into a question I have. We've got Cool Guardian says, do you prefer to play indie games over AAA games, and why? Yes, that's been dealt with a lot of times, and it's because the AAA games, I mean, seriously, they're just not innovative. I burned out on gaming a few years back, probably in the middle of university. I just kind of got to a point where I was like, I consider myself a gamer, but I am not enjoying any of this. Well, I kind of figured, oh, maybe I'm just growing up. Maybe games are for kids. Maybe that's what it is. I'm just not into video games anymore because I've grown up. I have matured slightly, probably not particularly, but I just figured that's what it was. I just wasn't into games anymore. No, in retrospect, I can now look at that and say, no, it's absolutely because the video games industry had gotten stagnant, and still is as far as AAA goes. And again, I've explained this one in the past, but I'll explain again. I understand why it happens, because we're in a multi-million-dollar industry now. We're talking about games that cost $200 million or more to make. And ain't nobody, even massive companies, throwing away $200 million without expecting a fairly safe return on investment. So you can't innovate. You can't do anything other than play it safe. It's why when you do a, I don't know what you do, a focus group or something, and say, what do people most want out of a 4-player cooperative Assassin's Creed game? They say what they want is 4 gruff, burly, generic white dudes. Not any black or Hispanic people. I mean, okay, that's probably a bit weird given the setting of this one, but not even female people? Come on, there were women in France in the time of the French Revolution. Even if you want to be historically accurate to exclude minorities, certainly women were not a minority. I'm pretty sure they made up 50% of the population. These are things that, I don't know, they're just completely unafraid, unwilling. They're totally afraid. They're not unafraid. They're totally unwilling to do anything remotely outside of challenging the tried and tested status quo. And you just end up with the same game year in, year out. You end up with these annual franchises. You end up with your Calls of Duties and your Assassin's Creeds, whatever. The same games that are put out year after year after year after year after year, and are unwilling to actually change the actual format, because to do so would be to risk $200 million. So I understand why it happens. Doesn't mean I have to sit and lap up the content every year. Some people do, and that will never cease to amaze me. I can't understand why people still buy into that, but to each their own, I suppose. It's not for me, it might be for other people. Like I say, obviously my social media guy for Button Mash, he's obviously into that kind of content and recognizes that the majority of our audience for the events and things is also into that kind of content and isn't into weird and wonderful niche indie stuff like me. But at the same time, I am also allowed to voice my opinions on my own particular tastes, and AAA is not to my taste these days, and have not been for many years. Whereas the indie scene, you end up with lots of weird stuff about, I don't know, base jumping off of floating buildings, or a choose-your-own-adventure novel about a monster growing up in a swamp. And for some reason, whenever I think about innovative indie games, the one thing I always default to is Dejaban. I'm quoting old Dejaban titles here. To the Moon, that really sort of niche, really heavy narrative-driven stuff. That's one of the top titles, and same for Always Sometimes Monsters. No big studio in the world would pick that up. I would love to see something in the style of, not necessarily in the style, but in the format of Always Sometimes Monsters, the really super choice-heavy, your decisions make an actual impact on the world kind of heavy narrative thing applied to something with a huge budget, something like Always Sometimes Monsters, but made with $200 million instead of, well, the figure they quoted in the game was $50. I suspect their development budget was bigger than $50, but still. I would love to see it done with a big budget just to see what could happen, but no studio would be willing to take that chance, so it has to be done by the little guys. The little guys who can put it together on a shoestring budget and 2 people and come up with something cool regardless of it. Not everything needs to be super hyper-polished, I don't think, and sometimes you get more interesting stuff when you don't spend millions and millions and millions on making sure that the hair looks super realistic. I'm not bothered whether the hair looks realistic, I'm bothered whether the gameplay is interesting or not, to be honest. So that's the thing. I mean, there's a great article I read recently by one of the guys who made Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm, if you didn't catch that a few years ago, made by People Can Fly, which is the same team who made Painkiller. They made a first-person shooter which was really completely ludicrous, over the top, silly. It was more about scoring points and skill shots and things, and like juggling people in the air with shotguns. It had, it was loud, it was crude, it was silly. It was not all this super serial stuff that everyone else seems to be trying to go for, and gritty, realistic stuff. It appealed to a similar kind of audience, I suspect, but at the same time, it was just completely ludicrous, over the top. They were the ones who put out the trailer. Their demo was just it wasn't a trailer; it was a demo. Their demo was literally just taking the mick out of Call of Duty, you know, the bloody screen so real kind of stuff, which was just silly. And actually, if I recall, I'm pretty sure they actually did regenerating health themselves anyway. I don't recall if they had med packs or not. I'm pretty sure it was regenerating health, in spite of them taking the mickey out of it, but there you go. Either way, their comment was that they spend a lot of time actually making gameplay in that, and it wasn't a long game. It was, I don't know, about 8 hours long. The multiplayer mode was weak, but the content that was actually in the game was good, and they hadn't padded it out with ridiculous amounts of collectibles. I mean, you look at most of your games these days, you got to go collect all the doodads, you got to find all the MacGuffins, all the silly things hidden all over the place. Oh, we've hidden 50 things around the world for you to find. You must go and find all 50 things. Why? Because it makes the game feel like it's longer. The problem, in the article quoted, was that in order to sell $60 is a steep price, and in order to sell a $60 game, you need to feel like you're getting your money's worth. In order to actually sell someone a product for $60, it has to feel like it's $200. And Bulletstorm, in their opinion, was a game that was selling for $60 that felt like it was $60. So people felt sort of cheated, slightly ripped off, that they weren't particularly getting their money's worth when compared to other games for a similar price. So the way they described it is they are the middle class of AAA development, which is they're not quite the budget wasn't there for them to really go $200 quality. And when you consider the sort of thing they're talking about adding to make it feel like it's $200, it's all filler anyway. Why do I want to go collect 50 doodads and MacGuffins around the world anyway? For no reason whatsoever, other than you've told me I get a few points for doing so, maybe some Chivos. What's actually the point? Nothing. It just makes it feel like I'm getting more for my money, when in fact all you're really doing is putting a Skinner box in there and asking me to press the button over and over again. So if you made a high quality title that was shorter on a smaller budget and just charged $30 or $40 for it, something like Bulletstorm, made for a lesser budget and sold for a reasonable price, that sort of thing could actually encourage some innovation. I wouldn't mind seeing that in games development, but such is the situation we're left with at the minute. That's not what shareholders want to see. But as I say, if you want innovation, go to IndiE3. They'll probably be streaming tonight, GMT. I guess it's afternoon elsewhere in the world. I should probably take a pill while there's one lying on the floor. Most interesting about IndiE3 for me, actually, of all things, is the host. Oh lord, we've got a compound coming up. Okay. There is a guy called Solon hosting it, or Solon Cubed, I think is his Twitter tag, which I went to check him out, see who he was, what he did. He seemed like some sort of games industry presenter type. Normally when you've got someone doing a big show, you'll hire some big name presenter to do it. Oftentimes you'll get people like your Total Biscuits and stuff turning up to commentate on things and host things and generally run the show. And I sort of figured this must be a similar kind of guy, probably not as big, but certainly perhaps some sort of mid-sized host character personality within the games industry that I had not heard of before because he's not huge. But oddly enough, no. Let me just check what compound we've got here because I wasn't paying particularly attention. We have Creeping Colonies, which is Jellies, right? Jellies creeps, right? Where my Jellybane at? Grip my Jellybane. And of course Fang of Vog, because Fang of Vog's fun, because I got my 3 weapons from the weekend. Fang of Vog, I don't know, I got a taste for setting things on fire with my Fang of Vog for a bit, which was kind of cool. So, I like setting things on fire now. Burn things. Anyway, yeah, I was sort of figuring this guy was probably, he's probably a YouTuber with a few 100,000 subscribers. Big enough for him to have made a name for himself, but not necessarily that everybody in the world's going to have heard of him. So, yeah, I decided to check him out. Yes, he is a YouTuber. Yeah, that's a thing. Let's have a look at his channel. Rainy Day Let's Play is the channel. I was like, I've heard of that somewhere before. I've definitely heard the name. Where exactly, I don't know. As it transpires, the channel, though, is very, very, very close to exactly the same size as mine, which is just crazy talk from my perspective, because it's just like, hang on, guys who are exactly as successful, almost exactly as successful as me on YouTube, as in, say, about around the 800 subscribers mark, are doing these really cool, awesome hosting gigs. How do I get in on one of these? Because that looks like so much fun and something I would totally want to be a part of. How exactly do I get recognized as a champion of indie games and prepared to host a week-long live stream dedicated to showing off indie games? Because I would totally be up for that, guys. If there's any headhunters watching this that are looking for somebody to champion indie games as part of a week-long live stream, I would like to do this, please. I'm your man. I'm really bad at... I guess I must be bad at networking or something. I feel like I'm not bad at networking, but I probably am. And yeah, it's entirely likely it's not what you know, it's who you know, as is the case with almost any industry in the world. All I know is that that's the sort of thing I would like to get in on, and I don't know how you get in on or who you got to talk to get in on such things. But there you go. Yikes! Oh jeez, I'm getting hurt good here. Dang. Let's take a peel. Take a chill peel. Grabbing peels. So yes, go check his stuff out. Having watched him for 2 days, I've actually subscribed to his channel because, like, well, actually, I would like to see more of this guy. And as I say, a similar-sized channel. I don't know. I may prod him and see if he wants to do things together. I don't know. Like I say, I'm bad at networking. What can I say? I should just go, hey guy, I like your stuff. Wanna do a collab? Collabs are fun, but I won't. I will probably sort of hang around and hope he notices me. Maybe, I don't know. Which is weird because I'm kind of like, oh, this guy's a big notable host, but he's like the same size YouTube channel as me, which is this weird cognitive dissonance thing going on here. Is the two don't go together in my head. If you're running a big notable live stream to hundreds of people, that's a reasonably important thing within the industry at this moment in time, I feel like in order for that to be a thing, you need to have several hundred thousand subscribers. What am I doing here? That opens that gate. Can I then... No, I can't get through. Oh, I see. Oh, the missile. Duh. I couldn't figure that one out for a moment, in spite of however many times I've done this before. Oh, I have an elemental weapon. I can use that. Yes. Advantage me. Aha. I'd forgotten I had the right weapon for taking out constructs. I have been shooting... Yes, I've been shooting them with my sword. I've been shooting them with my Acheron for a while, and I have a more effective weapon. I could be doing this. That's so much better. So, I have a question from Sky Scythe, which is, would you like to see any promos come back? Would they offer new items? If so, what would they be? And I just got shot because I was not paying attention to what was going on and I was reading the thing. Well, if a promo came back, I can't help but feel they would not have new items, because surely it wouldn't be coming back, it would be a new promo. Surely to bring back a promo, you would need to have the old items. The two are not the same. They cannot be equated. So, yeah. I think I'm quite sure there's a few questions in Skyside's big list of questions that he sent me. Do I need to do this one? I don't think I do need to do this, do I? No, that's for something entirely else. There's a few that says, what would you like to see in terms of items? And I'm not creative enough for that kind of thing. I'm not a creative person. I do not... What is this? This is scenario room, maybe. I'm not a creative enough person to say, I want to see this in the game, I want to see this in the game, I want to see this in the game. I don't come up with unique and interesting suggestions. However, I certainly, from a personal perspective, I would like to see the original Rose Regalia return. Mostly because I would really like one of the black hats. At the moment they are rather difficult to come by, and they do, once in a very rare blue moon, pop up as part of a featured auction, but they're obviously a hot commodity and hard to come by. And last time I went looking for one on the forums, there was one for sale that was 40,000 energy, which is kind of a lot of energy. Let's take a pill to clear that out and heal up a little. Yeah, 40,000 is a little rich for my blood. That's not really going to happen anytime soon. So, I'd have to give that one a miss. But, like I say, what with it being on a featured auction, perhaps there are more in circulation now these days, and maybe the price has dropped a little, so maybe it's a little more affordable. I don't know. It's still likely to be way, way, way out of my price range. It's probably not likely to be a thing I can afford. Whereas, you know, if they just sold the prize boxes and were just like, look, here's a whole bunch of black chapeaus, I'd be like, yep, I would like a black chapeau. Please give me one of those. I will exchange my money for one. But one also has to bear in mind that back when I acquired mine, this was a different time. Promos were not a ludicrous gamble, to be honest. Back then, promos, you actually got something decent out of it. It was $10 for if $10 purchases came with a prize box instead of this silly new buy the prize box system, separate system that I dislike. And the original, the Rose Regalia and Rose Regalia Redux, it was just you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting one of the hats or one of the tabards. There were 6 items in there and you would get one of the 6. You were guaranteed to get one for your $10 purchase. So I bought a couple because you were guaranteed to get something cool out of it. Whereas these days it's like, oh yes, you have like an 80% chance to get something generic and fairly mediocre. You have a 9% chance to get something kind of cool, and you have a 1% chance to get something amazing, which is just, at that point, it's a stone's throw from gambling is what it is. And I can't say I'm a massive fan of that either. Sometimes the generic stuff kind of looks kind of cool. I mean, I did kind of like, I mean, I bought one of the sarongs, that was kind of cool. The books aren't bad. I like the books with the new promo, because that we are lacking in the things to attach to the front of your costume. I mean, my canteen is literally a result of, not because I particularly cared for the canteen, it was, I mean, it's cool, it doesn't even match my costume particularly well. I literally only I literally only own the canteen on the basis that when accessories came out, I initially went, I want an accessory, and bought the cheapest one I could find that I didn't think looked awful. And that happened to be a cool canteen, so now I walk around wearing a cool canteen. So that's the thing. That's the story of my cool canteen. Let us head on down to the terminal and wrap things up then, shall we? That will be a thing. I did find over the weekend that what I need is... I've been looking for the Mercurial mail from Basil for some time, and what I've realised, I haven't actually got the charged Quicksilver yet, so I actually need the charged Quicksilver. And I have now acquired the Mercurial mail recipe, but I still need the charged Quicksilver. So that's stupid. At any rate, let's have a quick look, see if he has a charged Quicksilver. He does not. I have one more thing before we go, actually. I did find, shortly after the stream ended, we ended up having this weird session where everybody just blew loads of money on silver keys for opening boxes, and it turned out I don't know how long I've had these, but I had 4 silver keys left from somewhere. I don't know where. I've had it for I don't know how long. Green Link suggested I'd got it from the Guardian costume pack thing. Maybe? But I would have bought that well over a year ago, so I've been hoarding that for a very long time if that's the case. And I've looked at my keys on a few occasions to just go, oh look, hey everybody, look, I've got a shadow key. I should really do a shadow layer at some point, so... How have I never noticed the silver keys? Where have they come from? All I know is, from my perspective, I've just acquired 4 silver keys out of nowhere. Which means I'm going to... Where is it? Is it underusable? Yes. Let's do a lockbox. Why the devil not? I could totally just sell that for money, but no. I'm going to do a lockbox. Just because I think it'd be fun. Because gambling is fun, right kids? Yay, gambling! Heavy helm guards! Woo! Nobody's ever going to buy that. Great. That was 750 energy sort of well spent. Woo! So thank you very much for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, because those would be fantastic for me in future episodes. I have been Meroka. This has been Spiel. And if I'd remember to charge up my sword, I'll see you next time.